rebuild of the favorites. We here for the latest. South side or the north side, not tuned to the greatest. Home team for the home teams. Both sides got our own rings. On the mound or the long ball, but we don't pull the wrong strings. Yeah. It's that time of the year now. Wrigley or Ganty, so the whole league that we hear now. New show with a new mood. Discussions and interviews. Straight rumors that might be. This is Pinwheels and Knife.
What's going on, everybody? Apologize for the little bit of a late start here. Had a little bit of technical difficulties. Trust me, we were not watching the White Sox game.
No, in fact, our modems are actually operating on a Drew Smiley level right now, so it's volatile. And
so give us 1 second here, because I want to just make sure we put the tweet out in the universe, at least from personal accounts.
Oh, wait.
All right, everybody, here we go. All right, let's get it going. In 3, 2,
Oh, wait,
1.
Hold on. We didn't share it on Pinwheels.
No, you just need to retweet it.
Oh, wait, because it's not showing up. Hold on.
It'll take 2 seconds. You can share it while I'm doing the intro.
Oh, there we go. There's nothing coming up. Motherfucker. Elon sucks.
There you go. In 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? It is Thursday, August. Yeah, we're in August already, 3rd. And you have found the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast. I am your host, Matt Zawoski, a.k.a. Southside Zoe, a.k.a. Father Zoe. With me is the good Reverend K. Fids.
How we doing? Trade deadlines. Some sides of Chicago are super happy, some not super happy, but got some interesting moves, though. A couple teams, I think both teams got stronger in different ways, but this has been a really emotional week, and now it's nice to be on the other side of the trade deadline. So now we can stop guessing.
And now we can talk about fucking prospects for another year if you're on the White Sox side. All those here, too. I think Ron Swanson, his computer, and he is getting another one going, so he'll be here shortly. And for those of you that didn't know, Mitch did basically his own episode earlier today because he is working the late shift. He had some things he wanted to say, so he went live in the middle of the day. You can go find that and all of our shows on our YouTube channel. While you're there, maybe hit the like and subscribe button. We'd really appreciate that. But as we mentioned, we got a lot to talk about, so we couldn't wait around any longer. White Sox sell and boost that farm system. Cubs made some strategic moves, but some of us, Fitz, doesn't think it was enough. And so we're going to just basically dive into all that, talk to you guys in the comment section, and go from there. So with all that being said, let's tap this keg. As always, the show is brought to you by Sports Mockery, sportsmockery.com. Make sure you download the app, turn on push notifications, so you'll be the first to know any and all Bears news, because we're not going to talk about anything else from now on. Sports Mockery, sportsmockery.com, and also brought to you by Uncle Bud's on, where are we at now? We're at 97 South Cicero. It used to be the old TCs. That seems to be how most of the people on the South Side know where it's at. Food and drink specials every day. They got trivia, dart leagues, live music on the weekends, bingo on certain nights, karaoke. There's always something going on at Uncle Bud's. They got outstanding food. As someone that has eaten it a bunch, and as well as friends have gone on this recommendation from the show, and I have yet to hear one person say they did not enjoy their experience there. So make sure you go and check out Uncle Bud's. Tell them Zoe and the crew at Pinwheels and Ivy sent you, and they won't know what you're talking about, but it'd be really funny. So Uncle Bud's, make sure you go and check them out. So I know, Fid, you're only with us here for a limited time, but there was a lot of moves that went made. So I kind of wanted to go almost like Cubs move, Sox move, Cubs moves, you know what I mean? Just to kind of intertwine it a little bit. I'm pulling up the Cubs transaction report here so I can make sure I have all the all the deals in order here. There wasn't really too much.
The dates.
I want to. We're gonna wait till Aldo gets here to talk about the candy one because that was the deal he's wanted for a long time. So let's give him a second. And they used to cater our Christmas party. Good shit. All right. So let's talk about this one to start out with. I mean, we know what the big news is, but they traded Manuel Rodriguez and Adrian Sampson in future considerations to Tampa. So they already broke the first rule of the trade deadline to Tampa in exchange for a right-handed pitcher named Josh Roberson. You got anything on that kid?
Getting a Devil Ray pitcher. He's a 27-year-old righty. It's really kind of one of those. I think maybe an organizational depth move. I mean, it was like I think it was Sampson, Rodriguez, and some international free agent money.
It was future considerations is what the official line is.
At Durham AAA this year, he had a 4.5 ERA, 1.667 WHIP. Not great. I'm not a big fan of relievers having a high WHIP, obviously, because you're playing with fire. He had 43 strikeouts, 22 walks in 36 innings. He throws hard, but clearly he has some issues. But it sounds like this is one of those Cubs, trying to pull a diamond out of a giant pile of Jurassic Park poop and see if they can maybe hit gold, because they've done it a few times. I mean, they did it with Efros last year. I mean, so this guy's a guy that. I think they really kind of did it twice and with Arms this trade deadline, but this was more of the minor move. This guy is probably still. He's 27 years old too, so it was one of those moves where you're like, oh, okay, and Adrian Sampson, oh, okay, really
it was a meh.
Yeah, it was a meh.
I mean, the big move. They did make a decent side move. Again, I want to wait till Aldo gets back because I want you two to give both sides because I know Aldo's a little bit more pumped about that move than you are.
The candy move.
Yeah. But the other thing that I thought was interesting, because you know how we always joke about the pinwheels bump on this show. I mean, it's been an ongoing joke for 3-4 years. So Fids, tell everybody what you told me before the show about the latest and greatest pinwheels bump.
I mean, a week ago, or was it a week ago?
Yeah,
a week ago. Yeah, a week ago tonight. We were doing a live playback. So this is the Pinwheels and Ivy bump. If you want to,
this is like the full Hadouken of a Pinwheels bump. Yes,
sounds like an IKEA. But yeah, so the Cubs, the Cubs were teeter-tottering back and forth. Buyers, sellers. Are they going to keep everybody? Are they going to trade everybody? Are we going back, third year in a row? And they were down, we're here live on the playback. I mean, the first couple innings took like 7 hours, and the game itself probably, Zoe actually, his beard grew live. If you do a time lapse, he actually went ZZ Top style. Yeah. And so when I left, actually, we got on the road. I had to leave, and it was 7-2 when I left, I think, or 7-1 or something like that. And I leave, and you guys are doing the playback, and we're talking about the Cubs, and all of a sudden on the playback, Cubs make this massive comeback. A bunch of walks too. Thanks for a couple walks, but
yeah, we all saw it, Kev. Get to the point.
So anyway,
will not be silenced. Do I have to cut off Kevin?
A little salt in the wound there, but
have you been talking this entire time, though?
Cubs came. No, tell a story. But yeah, Cubs came back. They beat they ended up coming back beating the White Sox. So today, Jed Hoyer. Speaking of that bump, is that Jed Hoyer says that moment was the actual moment that the Cubs front office decided that they were not going to sell, and they were going to go ahead and become actively, in loose terms, buyers on the market. And so that is like the ultimate. The Pinwheels bump literally gave the White Sox kind of the dirt. They let the dirt shower over them, but it also, the Pinwheels bump pushed the Cubs into seller or buyer mode, and now the Cubs are looking to try and actually win that divisional title. So,
yep.
Big bump.
I said it at the end of the playback last week. Go back on YouTube, watch all 3.5 hours. Stellar content. Subscribe, watch it. Just keep it on. Open multiple tabs and hit play. Lance Lynn, beautiful. A thank you. A great gift to the Cubs in his last start with the White Sox. The same thing for Joe Kelly. Thank you guys for pushing the Cubs into actually trying to win these next 2 months. Because the biggest move, as we know, Kevin, we make fun of this whenever every other team does it, but I mean, there's some truth to it. The biggest move the Cubs made was not trading their best player, Cody Bellinger.
Yeah. That's fair. That's very fair because I don't think arguably anyone had a better month of July in baseball than Cody Bellinger.
He did not. Won NL Player of the Month, hit 400, had an OPS close to 1,100. I think 8 or 9 home runs.
Broke the scoreboard yesterday.
Yep. He had 26 games, 13 multi-hit games, Gold Glove defense at first base and center field. I mean, just incredible.
I'm getting very, very, very close to the level of petty of looking up all my tweets saying I want Bellinger on the White Sox, and all the replies that told me he was washed, he was overpriced.
You should do that. Herb's been doing it since he got on a hot streak in early July.
I know I got a lot of receipts. I got a lot of receipts on that one. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to hold back the pettiness a little bit, but this one
you should just do it. You're not gonna be watching a lot of Sox games the next 2 months.
No, that's true. I mean, I'll power through them. A lot of them I'll just put on in the background, but yeah.
Here's the thing too. I don't know if Aldo, you saw. I'm not sure you. I can't talk. Wow, I'm not sure if you saw Jed's interview today. I'm getting a vibe that
I want to play.
Jed is gonna pop. This could be an extension in season. This will just shatter all of you. Scott Boras doesn't do in season extensions. He's gonna shove that extension sideways up your ass like a fungo. Okay,
just in case.
It's gonna happen.
I downloaded it because I wanted. I don't know if Zoe had seen it yet, but for the people coming in right now and seeing this, and again, Jed, he hasn't had with the core. He never talked about any player before. Like this.
Breaking
Warrior, Marquee Sports Network talking about Cody Bellinger.
Belly knows how we feel about him. That's for sure. We've loved having him here, and I don't comment on negotiations in season, but I just say that he knows how we feel about him. He's been wonderful, and I think it's been a really good fit.
Oh, and the eyebrows too.
Smile at the end.
That's
this is the first time Jed Hoyer has smiled since he got promoted to president.
Yep. Because you got one right. You got Jamie right too.
And shout out to our guy on Twitter at Ivy Futures, Greg Zumac. He's the one who tweeted out in the morning, went all over on Twitter. I'm not going to call it X.
No, I won't.
No, it's the
tone that Jed Hoyer talked,
100%.
The tone that he spoke in about Cody Bellinger. And, we've been through it with Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Baez, Contreras. At no point did he ever sound that enthusiastic.
No,
I'm talking about contracts or future stuff with those players as he did with Cody Bellinger right there.
Bellinger's option for next year is what, 24 mil?
25, yeah, but he's turning that down.
He's turning that down 100%.
But they could do like an extension, like, hey, bam, you got 25, and then we'll plop on 5 more years.
Yep. And then they can also plop it like they could actually, they'll make it work over the course.
Because of that option, I think the Cubs have right before free agency. So free agency is right after the World Series.
Right.
But they have a 3 or 5 day window, exclusive rights to negotiate, I think.
Yes.
So. And again, Kevin, you have been on the Scott Boras, he's the boogeyman. I think Strasburg is the only guy who signed for more than $100 million as an extension, but it's not impossible. Like, that doesn't mean that you don't talk to him. That doesn't mean that you don't be like, hey, we know you have a number. Mm-hmm. What's the number? At least get stuff talking right now.
Yeah, the thing that these guys don't have a number is like stupidly naive. Like they have a number.
They know. So Boras already knew since last offseason. All right, if Bellinger is back, if he looks like a star again, I know what the range is going to be.
Yep. And if Jed's willing, I mean, honestly, and I think this could be there's such a big groundswell, and there's been a lot of criticism with the front office and everything. This would be one of those moves that it's like probably one of the biggest olive branches, if not the biggest olive branch since the fire sale of the core. this would be like, hell yeah, we're here. And some of these minor moves, I mean, even like the Seiya Suzuki contract and the Stroman, they're not like blockbuster deals. And so for the Cubs to go in and do a blockbuster deal and lock him up and show the Cub fans that they're serious. I mean, Dansby Swanson's probably the biggest blockbuster trade, and I think Bellinger's going to get more because he does both. I mean, he's a defensive on the same level as Swanson, but he's an absolutely much better hitter.
I think the one comparison that I saw, because he plays center field, good hitter, consistent. George Springer a few years ago got 5 for 150 from the Blue Jays. He was a little older though. I think he was already 30. What was Bellinger, like 28?
28.
So, but I mean, I think that's a comparable contract where you get like, what happened?
I'm looking at the Bellinger receipts. Oh no!
Are there familiar names?
I don't want to do this to the beef loaf. I don't want to do this to the beef loaf. He knows Bellinger stinks. Oh nah.
Hey, beef loaf. We can't get
if
them
this
right.
bodes well,
all right.
Hold on. He thought Bellinger stinks, so maybe this bodes well for Andrew Vaughn.
Yeah.
Perhaps the analysis is paralysis here.
I was really big on trading Kimbrel to the Dodgers for Bellinger.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you were. I mean, and so Jock, he was like your other job.
$30 million a year for like 6 years.
Yeah, we had Bellinger in our offseason plan because Josh Nelson was tweeting about it November 4th.
Oh, Morel! Cubs take the lead.
Let me just talk about the Cubs because I haven't been this fucking happy since like 2020 was bullshit. That didn't even matter.
Oh no,
the resilience.
Oh, that's a highlight. God dang it! I looked down. That's not real.
It's still fine. They're still battling back. The resiliency in this team. And Kevin, you were talking about it, the game that made Jed Hoyer in the front office be like, all right, let's move to this direction. In July, they've been going down, which has been annoying. The starting pitching has been brutal.
Oh no!
The offense does not quit. It has not quit. Even on Monday, they were down. They lost to the Reds 6-5. They were down 5-1. They made it a game. They got within one. They had a few chances in the last few innings. They don't go away.
Wasn't there a game earlier in the season where they were down like 7 or 8 in like
that was back in April against the Mariners?
Yeah, they've been doing it all year.
7-0. And then Nelson Velasquez, who just got traded away on Monday, he had a grand slam.
Yep.
And the Cubs ended up winning in a blowout, like 13-8. But yeah, no, the Cubs. I mean, I don't know how much I've missed the first part. StreamYard trying to silence us now. We will fight. I know, and I know I was a little harsh on you, Kevin, and you talking about the trade deadline. I mean, you're not the only one, and honestly, I think we have similar thoughts on what the Cubs did at the trade deadline.
Carry ball.
Maybe just
carry ball.
But just maybe different immediate or passionate reactions towards it. Like I do obviously love the Candelario trade, but yes, I was expecting more. I was expecting them to get a relief arm because they need it. Mm-hmm. And honestly, right now, the way it's looking, maybe like a starting pitcher too. But I mean, going back to when we're talking about expectations for this year, I mean, this is kind of what it was going to be. It was going to be a team that was going to be around 500 in a weak division. It turns out that the National League was a lot weaker than I thought, at least, with a couple teams underperforming, like the Mets, who sold off, the Padres, who are still trying to get to 500. But I mean, they, like Mitch said, and go check out Mitch's shorter podcast that's out too. Cubs played themselves right into actually contending, actually trying to win. Which, I mean, that's what we want. That's what we want from our teams. Try to actually win. They didn't go all in, and this isn't the 2016 Cubs. This isn't a one move away from a World Series team. So I don't mind them not going and pushing all their chips in yet, because some of those players probably weren't available. I mean, who were the big names that were traded? It was guys who were old as hell making $40 million. Like, we didn't see another Juan Soto trade. Like Dylan Cease, the Sox were trying, but the Orioles didn't want to pay up for Dylan Cease. Bednar, the closer for the Pirates, he's under control. So like that's why he was going to be expensive, and he's been a stud. Nobody wanted to trade for him. Like all these guys, it was mostly rental guys that were traded at the deadline.
Yep.
Yeah. And the thing too, we haven't gotten it. We really haven't talked much about the trades. By the way, we were just talking about Robertson, the Robertson trade.
Yeah.
At this point.
Oh, okay.
But you actually make a good point. Is that the deadline? We talked about it in there. The Cubs. I even put a poll up. Is because I have a good friend, love him to death. I really do. Although I like to fucking bitch and moan about because he's
that's a good friendship. When you guys can go at each other, that's good.
Let's be honest. He's the real director of morale for Cubs fans. The other ones quit. The Dom has quit on the Cubs like 25 times in the last 30 days. Real nice morale guy.
Isn't his tagline not going anywhere?
Yeah, he went away every fucking time. So the real director is Justin Roman. I love him to death. Roman every single time. Like yesterday, Patrick Wisdom hits a home run off of a position player. Patrick Wisdom, I never gave up on you. Like I can't tell if he's joking or not half the time, but he believes that this is more than enough to win the NL Central. He is so in on it and positive. Now for me, I think this is probably enough what the Cubs have done. I don't think it was not enough, but I do think it was probably enough. Here's the problem that we have, and I know this is something the Sox fans are very familiar with. It's the Reinsdorf approach, which is hope for health because you have no depth. And Cubs lose a guy, that's it. They didn't do enough. Where you look at the Dodgers, they went out and got two shortstops just in case. They're not messing around. And the Cubs got just enough that if everybody fingers crossed, everything flies their way, boom, nobody gets hurt, then you got it. But if someone gets hurt, it's going to be a problem again. So, but like we started with the Robertson trade, that was kind of a non-move the needle kind of thing. Guys got some serious command issues, but that's where we're kind of at now.
By the way, Cubs have tied it 5-5. If
Correct.
You guys are watching live or on the podcast.
RBI ground out, tied it from Cody Bellinger.
So although we decided we were going to go Cubs, Sox with regards to talking about the deals. So we saved the candy deal for you because I want to hear you guys talk about that. But going to the next deal, because probably during that same exact game where the Cubs decided hey, shit, we can do this. We're going to be buyers. Probably the same time where Rick Hahn was like, well, shit. All right. We're going to have to start this over again.
Well, he already had Lucas in LA.
Yeah, I mean,
it was like 10 minutes after we went off.
Yeah, it was after the game because we said Lucas looked like he already had his suitcase packed.
Oh, you called it. Yeah. You called it.
So after that game, the White Sox traded Lucas Giolito and Ronaldo Lopez, which I didn't really see the Raylo thing coming, but it made sense.
Another free agent.
To Los Angeles, the Angels for Kai Bush, a left-handed pitcher, and Edgar Quiro. Edgar's the big prize here. Kai has had some issues with control, but if you look right here, at the updated top 15, right away, Edgar goes to the White Sox number 2 prospect. Now this is the MLB.com rankings. Where Kai's now number 7 for the White Sox. But if you go to Fangraphs, where they're a little bit more analytical, some people put a little bit more stock into that. They have Edgar as the White Sox number 3 prospect, and they have Kai Bush all the way down at 15. Still, you're getting good prospects back for expiring contracts, which if you held a gun in my head and said you have to say one thing that Rick Hahn's good at, that's what Rick Hahn's good at.
And by the way, not only, on the surface that you knew you were going to get at something decent for Giolito, but I think it was pretty much unanimous that everyone thought this was a huge overpay for the Angels. They're like, wait, you're giving up your one of your top hundreds for a rental guy?
And it felt like it. And after the trade deadline, they updated all of the farm system rankings. And just by giving up those 2 players who were probably arguably their best 2 prospects, the Angels are now the second worst farm system in baseball.
Yeah, I think they were already bottom 5, but they lost one of their 2 elite prospects.
And so For those of you who aren't familiar, which I'm pretty sure any White Sox fan is now, Edgar Quero, he is very young. He is 20 years old. Short guy, 5'11", 170 pounds. But the big things here is he's a switch hitter. He's got a pretty good arm. The thing that is somewhat concerning is he became a catcher in 2019. So he's got a lot to learn still. Defensively, decent bat. You know, he can run, which is for White Sox catchers is already a leg up on the competition. But he's the big prize here. His ETA to the major leagues is 2025. And then something that I don't think a lot of people have been bringing up is one of the things that us as White Sox fans, we always joke about, but it's a very real thing, is the Cuban pipeline. Edgar's from Cuba. So
probably had him scouted like 5 years ago.
Without a doubt. I mean, so he, like I said, he's a switch hitter. The left side of the plate is definitely his more power side, which the White Sox could always use a lefty bat. The other big thing with him that I like, he's very disciplined. Takes a lot of walks.
Yeah,
which
again, I think he had more walks than strikeouts.
Yes, and so this is why switch hitting catcher, not the greatest defensively. Left side is power side, discipline at the plate. Who does that sound like? That sounds like he has money ground up.
Well, yeah. Well, I was gonna say your original description of him.
Yes.
Your original description of him picking up the catching late and having decent speed as a catcher, not a switch hitter, but it kind of reminded me of a little bit of Wilson Contreras, who he started as an infielder. I think he was playing third base, and then one of the coaches is like, "Hey, dude, want to catch?" And then he just started catching, like back in, I mean, it was like in the 2010s.
Yep. So Quero's he's got a 50 grade arm, so he's got a pretty decent arm. You know, not a cannon like the other catcher we're going to talk about in a little bit, but he is without a doubt a project.
Yes.
That's why I think the ETA of 2025 is generous.
I do want to add one thing about that. You said he's young. He's 20 years old. He's already at AA.
Right.
I saw some people saying that was may have been a little too aggressive from the Angels to get him up to AA, which is, I mean, they can't all be 20-year-old studs at AA like Owen Casey, Kevin.
Right. Yeah, I mean, right. I mean,
correct. I was thinking Juan Soto, but yes, yeah.
Well, I mean, Juan Soto is just he was doing that in MLB. Yeah, but that's because I think you know, people point to his numbers. They're like, oh, like we're getting excited over a guy with like a 700 OPS at AA. I mean, he's facing guys who are like 2-3 years older than him. So give that dude some time to breathe there.
Yeah.
You know what I like too about him though is that not obviously the switch hitter part is obviously super valuable.
Very much so.
You bring it up is the fact that he's got low mileage. He hasn't been a catcher very long. Like, so he's going to have that lower body health that's
a good way to look at
you don't get from, you know, so the inexperience is one part you trade, but you also have someone that has a physically healthier body. He hasn't taken the kind of damage that a lot of these guys that have been like lifelong catchers have taken, you know, so that's a good thing for him. And that said, you know, CBS, I think his name is RJ Anderson. CBS did the top 15 prospect trades of this trade deadline, and he came in as the best get of any team at the trade deadline when it came to prospects. So there's a lot of complimentary stuff about him that the White Sox really got a good deal here. I know it came up as a massive overpay on that one site that does like trade value. Massive overpay for the Angels.
Mm-hmm. And and then the other part of the deal was, again, Kai Bush, 23-year-old, 6'6", 240 pounds. He's a lefty. White Sox have no lefty pitcher. But the problem with this kid is control, man, which you can work on control. You can fix control. His fastball tops out about 97. His best pitch is a low 80s slider that has pretty good depth and a fading mid-80s changeup. But he's a polished left-handed arm. He's definitely struggling at the time of the trade. Like, he's not having the season that he expected to. But I feel like the bones are there, and and I know I'm expecting a lot out of the White Sox to develop a player, but it's not the centerpiece for the trade. Obviously, the big thing was the catcher, but he's a throw-in where they might be able to squeeze something out of him.
Can we put a moratorium on the KY jokes though? Like I'm like already over it. Like I think every single thing KY. I'm like, oh, that's this guy's never heard that joke with the name Kai. He's probably like, it's like Fiddler.
Is that by the way? Is it just Kai? Is it not short for anything?
It's just everything I've seen is
Kyler.
just Kai.
Just Kai. Okay, I kind of like it. I kind of, you know me. I'm a big name guy. I like it. Different.
And the other thing too is he had a lat injury, so he's coming back. Yeah, especially for a pitcher. So he's coming back from that. They have his ETA is next year, but I think this is a guy you kind of.
Oh, it's Kyler. Kyler Spencer Bush.
Oh, like it. Well, reminds me of Skylar.
Yeah, and I don't like it. Yeah,
sorry. All right, just focus on
KB's son's name that was born on my same birthday.
But
shout out Skylar.
So for the big difference though, like MLB has him as the White Sox 7th best prospect, but if you go over to Fangraphs, they got him all the way down at 15.
It's
and they
so
have
crazy.
And they have his ETA
at,
and they
that's
have
the one
his
thing
ETA
I noticed with all these trades, man.
2025 Fangraph does.
All these, like, there's so many. I mean, I shout out to the guys, but I don't pay for Baseball America. I know those are probably the most updated.
Mm-hmm.
But just between Fangraphs and MLB Pipeline, MLB Pipeline does update their top 100 list at least frequently throughout the season. But they don't really. I feel like they're lacking on like individual team top 30 list. However, it's just crazy though, the disparity that you see in some of these, and it's a good reminder. I do like it though, because it's a good reminder that at the end of the day, these are just rankings. They're just opinions of scouts, a combination of people. You still got to see what they do on the field over time. It takes time for these dudes, and that's really going to be. I know White Sox do not want to hear this after what they were promised for the past. Well, what was supposed to be this year included. But you guys are just going to have to be patient with some of these prospects.
Yeah, I mean,
and wait it out, man.
The difference between this time and last time, though, is we all know that. Like, I think more White Sox fans are like, all right, well, and the thing that I thought was stupid, I'm trying to be optimistic about this, and, they weren't going to re-sign Giolito, so they got something for nothing there. Raylo, they might have re-signed, but if you need to throw him in to get, a top 100 prospect, then you do that. Good for Raylo too. His first outing with the Angels, he's out there throwing in the hundreds, striking out Ronald Acuna and shit.
Oh, he's been fantastic.
I mean, we don't need to talk about Giolito's first 2 starts with the Angels, but not good.
Especially.
But I'm trying to be like up about, I'm switch hitting catcher. I'm like, okay, here we go, top 100, blah blah. The first 4 fucking replies I get to my tweet, like trying to be out. Yeah, well, Yoan Moncada was the number 2 prospect. It's like, oh my god.
Now, how many World Series can you win with prospect rankings? Really?
That's the thing. I get where and Zoe, I love you for it because you are a guy who tries to look at the positive in every situation. And God bless you, because man, the Sox have put you through the ringer.
They really have.
Few years. But I can't really blame the replies. I cannot blame the replies.
I get where it's coming from, but even one of Guillen's kids, I don't know who runs the Guillen's baseball account, but he's like, prospect rankings don't mean shit. And I was like, you're right. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to argue that. I'm also not going to argue that the White Sox exactly don't have a glowing fucking history of developing players. But, I mean, I love this sport, and this is my team, so I'm going to choose not to be miserable. So I'm going to try to be a little bit more upside about a lot of this shit. And, that's just kind of the way that I like to go about things. And I mean, if you want to be fucking doom and gloom about this, I don't understand that. It really just doesn't make sense to me, because you're going to be disappointed a lot more than you think if that's the way you approach it.
Guys touched on. Are we going to go? I'm sorry. Are we going to go?
Yeah, no. Now we're going to go. Now we're going to go Candelario, because I wanted to save that one for when you got back. So the big trade that the Cubs made was they got basically utility infielder Yamara Candelario and cash considerations from the Nationals for DJ Hers, minor league infielder Kevin Made. I mean,
that was your guy.
That's who you wanted.
Yes.
Cubs just took the lead, by the way.
Cubs just took the lead. Cubs are fucking rolling. I mean, we were chatting all day on Tuesday, the trade deadline day, and there was a second because I was telling you guys the prospect guys. Shout out to our, the Grays. We've had Greg Huss on before. He tweeted out, "I feel hurt" or something like that. Greg Zumek tweeted out, he's like, "Man, 2022 is really sad. 2023 me is feeling happy," and like that's around the time that we knew that they were going to be pushing for Candelario. But I do have to say, and like, I know I'm not like the most in-depth knowledge of the Cubs system, but I feel like I have a okay understanding of some of the guys. When I saw the trade, and it was DJ Hers and Kevin Made, by the way, I love his defense. Dude's still only 20 years old, but he can't hit at all yet. I was like, oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll take that. Okay. Because the main reason is because I mean we can head over to the Fangraphs thing. The Cubs farm system is loaded with the guys just like that. Like them losing a like potential left-handed pitcher and like a maybe future backup middle infielder, they have like 10 of each right now in their system. So they barely took a hit depth-wise. And if anything, it didn't even matter. They went from like number 3 ranked like late last week to number 2. Yeah. Like the farm system is healthy. It is strong right now. Yeah, I mean, I love the trade. They filled their biggest need on offense. Unfortunately, it did come at the price of having to release Mitch's favorite player ever in Trey Mancini. But that's what teams who are serious about winning have to do. You have to cut the fat. They did it with Hosmer back. As a guy, I'll admit when the team goes against what I feel they should do. I thought Matt Mervis should have been given a shot, but if he wasn't, it's because you were going to replace Trey Mancini with someone better, and they did. They got the top rental guy who plays third base, first base, can DH obviously, switch hitter. He's been crushing right-handed pitching this year, and then overall in his career, he's pretty decent against both. And also, he's a guy who loves the environment. He was briefly up with the Cubs back in 2016 and 2017 before he was traded to the Tigers. Maybe you get him to re-sign afterwards. But yeah,
that's you guys are doing Cubs updates. Marcus Semien just hit a 2-run homer. The Rangers are winning 2-0. I mean, I'm sorry, 11-0.
Oh, it was yeah.
It's funny too, and one thing you talk about this is there's a couple like weird storylines that go along with this too, Aldo, and I'm sure we've talked about it a little bit in our chat. First off, like again, just to be, I mean, the Mancini, you really almost can't compare the Mancini and Hosmer thing because Hosmer was like a $100,000 cut. Yeah. Mancini was millions and millions of dollars in it was salary.
10 times more, $7 million.
Yeah, they're giving up to clear that space. And another part about this, and Candelario, again, he's a rental. They didn't give up much. He guys had a great season. This is by far he's having his career year. He's a former Cub that was traded to the Tigers, I believe, right?
Yeah.
The Cubs traded him away, and now they're trading him back for him, which is kind of a cool.
He also really fucked up the White Sox when he was on the Tigers. He always had good games against the White Sox.
But this is a cool little story. This I hope makes Zoe happy too, because it makes me extraordinarily happy. Is that with the addition of Candelario and the removal of Trey Mancini, it also signals that the Chicago front office truly, truly, truly does believe in Nick Madrigal. Nick Madrigal has been excellent as long as he's been healthy. Candelario is going to be playing first a lot. He's playing third tonight, but obviously they're doing some matchup stuff because they put Seiya's goose egg back in the lineup. But now all of a sudden we're seeing Nick Madrigal do what Nick Madrigal. I mean, he's a okay major league player. Like he's not a superstar, but he's doing the Nick Madrigal things that have been expected. It just seems like all these things fall into place. That makes me that gave me great joy because when they said that Candelario is primarily going to play first base for the Cubs, it's not because Patrick Wisdom. It's because Nick Madrigal is playing fantastic defense. The dude was made fun of. Why is this idiot over there playing third base? I mean, God, if you look at Twitter back when they first announced, look at the tweet when they were talking about the first time someone broke that he was working at third base, and the jokes and the vitriol and all the hate that guy gets and wears. He's been fantastic over there. Yeah, maybe a couple of higher line drives get over his little wicket the Ewok body, but God, he's been to his left. His footwork has been incredibly good. You know, he's like a hummingbird. His footwork is so quick that he gets around. He eliminates some of that distance. He's even made a couple really that play he made down the line, diving down the line. Now, did you think that Nick Madrigal could make a play like that, diving on a backhand dive and still throwing across the diamond, albeit a long hop?
I didn't.
Gunning the guy out at first.
I didn't think he had the arm.
Well, okay, and that's what I was gonna say. And I was looking back, and I was trying to make sure I get the name. Shout out to Wayne, who a few weeks ago, Fangraphs wrote about Nick Madrigal at third base, how he's positioned, how he does play in more compared to the normal third baseman, because yes, he doesn't have as strong as arm, but it's been strong enough. And I was one of those guys who, and again, it wasn't so much the fielding; it was always the arm. Is like, is he gonna have the arm to play third base? But the way I've never had a doubt that he was going to be a solid defender. But I mean, he's exceeded even those expectations. He's been really damn good at third base. And like you said, Kevin, it's just great for a guy who, back in May, he at the plate at least, because again, the defense did stay consistent even when he was struggling at the plate. He was down bad. It was back to the weak ground balls, and then he got sent down to AAA, got hot.
Got hurt.
Got hot first. Got called up. Was hot for a month, and then got hurt. Sad, and that's still the one thing, at least not for this year, because I hopefully, knock on wood, that nothing else goes down injury wise. But long term, that is the one still little question mark in the back of my head is, can you rely on a guy consistently to be on your roster who's consistently getting injured year in, year out? But we'll worry about that in the offseason.
So here's something I'm not gonna have time to pull it up, but I am really curious because I know that they were playing since Nick Madrigal's call up. The Cubs have a very good record. I know that there was a really good record when he got called. I think they were like 10-2 in his first 12 games after him being called up. I know he got hurt again, but I mean, obviously, if you put that together with the July that the Cubs had, especially, you're looking at it. I mean, there's a lot of weird working parts in this thing. This whole thing. I mean, the Cubs are beating the shit out of the Reds now. They're absolutely putting it on them now. It's what 8-2, 8-5 now, 8-5, being down early. So, but this is again, this team is such a weird. This is a lightning in a bottle feeling. I mean, it really does. There's chemistry, and
it took a while. It took a while, and they're not as good as this team that I'm going to say, but it's still you're getting the Mike Tauchman career year out of nowhere. You're getting some of the stars playing well. And I said it back in April, and took some shit in May when they were playing like garbage. But it does feel like that 2015 squad where it's like you have a mix of a couple veterans, a couple young guys, a couple journeyman guys coming in, kind of getting it all together, and you're seeing a great offense right now that is hitting on all cylinders.
And this is what we've asked for as Cub fans. We've gone, there's been some, obviously we've been pessimistic for a bit, and I'm very hard, on Jed again. I just, for me, are the Cubs good enough to win the World Series? I mean, anything can happen if you're in the postseason, right? Braves did, people made fun of someone used that Braves, the Braves were 2 games under 500 at this date. The Cardinals were how many games under 5? They were under 500, 2 years ago or whatever it was, or 3 years ago, and they come out and they make the playoffs. So there's a lot of cool little narratives you can compare to, because people didn't believe that the fact that, this is the weird part about baseball is teams catch fire and just weird shit happens. And that's the beautiful aspect of this game. You got a team like the Reds nobody had the Reds anywhere near first place, playing out of their ass. Hopefully they fall off now. But now you got the Cubs coming back and doing this stuff too. This is exciting shit. And then, now it is though please God don't get hurt. And ride that horse till she bucks you. I mean, this does help a bit, but it also, on a side note, we'll throw a little bit of logic out there. I still do believe that this gives Jed Hoyer an out, because he didn't make a lot of moves. He made 2 moves, 3 if you count the Robertson thing, which is like not much of a move. And now, if it doesn't pan out for the Cubs, guys get hurt and they don't get the job done, he can sit back and say, well, look, I tried. And there's a lot of people that say, because I saw one story called this aggressively during free agency or during the trade.
I don't think it was aggressive.
No, that's not aggressive. And then I love what's his name from The Athletic, but I'm like, bro, this is aggressive. I hate to, if someone really was aggressive. Aggressive is the Rangers. That's aggressive. So
the
that's aggressive.
The one puppy didn't want to hear your shit anymore, but this guy stuck around.
Hey, buddy. You hear that?
And then just to add on to the adding on offense and the Cubs, how they're going, and why they have been playing well. And it does go back what they've missing, what they've been looking for, and what you've said, Kevin, that the hope was when you sign a guy like Cody Bellinger, who was injured, had a couple rough years, is that he is the star. He is the star that you've been looking for. He's been playing like a star.
He crushes fucking baseballs, man.
And that's what makes a team go. Mitch mentioned it, how, okay, was Jose Abreu perfect? No. But you can count on Jose Abreu for at times to come up with big hits. He was your star hitter. He was your guy that big spot, you want him up. And that's what Cody Bellinger is right now for the Cubs. Yep. Cubs have been rolling since you mentioned it with Nick Magical. Yeah, I mean, since the beginning of June, he came up June 9th against San Francisco. Mm-hmm. Cubs have been playing 15 games above 500 or close to that since.
Here this thing too is, and this is what for great
10 games above 500.
Great players, right? Superstars, right? Cubs have had a core of great players, before. We've seen this, right? But here's another thing that people are seeing now, and they're experiencing this, is that when you have a superstar, great players, really great players that lead, that are all overall uber valuable, they don't just raise their level of game. It's not just about their own game. Everybody around them rallies and starts playing, and it's almost like the rising temperature. It just continues to build and build, and players that are around this guy, it's almost like touching the cloak of Jesus, right? You're like, oh, I've got special powers now too. I believe I can do this. And all of a sudden these guys are out there, and then it's a game of top this. And it just compiles. It's one after another. And it's let's keep going. And everybody, it's just one good thing begets another good thing. You might have a really rough moment, but then it just keeps pushing forward and another good thing. And that's what Cody Bellinger's brought to the Cubs, is who doesn't like to see a guy hit a ball off the scoreboard in a big moment against a team that's in first place in a huge series in the middle of, beginning of August? That stuff raises the adrenaline level, and these guys show up to the ballpark believing they can win because they are going to fight behind their superstar. And that, Dansby Swanson, another really great locker room personality. These guys really are rallying around the leadership in the clubhouse, and they believe. And if they believe, it doesn't matter what fans say. If that clubhouse believes, they're going to play baseball. And
that's the other name. I know we're having a Cody Bellinger love fest right now, but you bring up Dansby Swanson. That's another guy who I think right now he is the top, or he's the most valuable shortstop in the National League, and I think he's only second in baseball behind Wander Franco for the Tampa Bay Rays. So he's another guy who maybe he's not superstar level, but he's getting close to
So
he's a star player for the Cubs.
Every good team, World Series, good team, whatever, you have to have at least 2 or 3 guys that when they come up to the plate, it's stop doing what you're doing and watch this at bat.
Yep.
And that's what Jose Abreu used to be with men on base. That's what Mitch was talking about. He wasn't crazy, but if there was a guy on second and Jose was up, you stopped what you were doing because there's a good chance he's knocking that guy in. And I feel right now, just as from the other side of the fence watching that Cubs Sox series, every time Dansby came up or any time Cody came up, it was oh shit. You know what I mean? It's just
yeah.
Those are the guys too that were the batter's up and that this guy's in the hole and you're all right, so we got to get this guy here and move this because we want him leading off the inning. We don't want him up with guys on base. That's a reality right now for the Cubs. And I think that should show you a sign of, where the team can go.
And one last thing.
Nico too. Good. Yeah, Drew. Nico too.
Before we go back to the Sox talk here, I swear to God, David Ross, please just have Cody Bellinger 3, Dansby Swanson 4. You're good, dude. No one's going to just hard. Do that. It's not that hard, man.
That's such a good lineup.
It is not that hard.
I don't get why it's so hard for him to do that. I'm not even a big Cubs fan, but I already.
That's the other thing with the Candelario. I hope, because again, another thing that we can go off on right now is that Seiya Suzuki is basically in the Trey Mancini slot now, where he's going to get platooned. Mike Tauchman has been out of his mind this year.
Yep. That's another thing World Series teams have is that guy no one's heard of playing out of his mind.
Shout out to on Twitter at @dwest_. He brought a great comparison and goes back to the 2015, 2016 teams. It's like Chris Coughlin.
Yep.
Like left-handed hitter, solid defense, and I think Mike Tuckman's better. But just solid approaches at the plate, works deep counts, a little bit of pop. I mean, he has 6 home runs. Seiya Suzuki has 8. Just a solid ball player there that's contributing in big ways. I mean, he's been leading off for the past 2 months most of the time, and he's going to get a lot more starts in right field now. With Seiya Suzuki right now is basically played himself into a platoon only starting against left-handed starting pitching. I love Suzuki. I was hyped about him when they got him, but he's been disappointing. I mean, he's been disappointing. There's no way around that. The power hasn't been there. Cubs have to go with their best players, and right now, against right-handed pitching, at least, I think we should be seeing a lot more of Mike Tauchman in right field.
I'm pretty sure when you guys started this conversation, Seiya hit an RBI single.
It's 10-5 now. It's 10-5. They just made an error.
Well, I think it was 5-4 when we started talking, or 5-5. It was tied, and now it's 10-5.
And I mean, we'll get to it after this next trade, but it's rough for me as someone that started paying attention to the Reds a little bit more because of like Elly De La Cruz and all the young great players they got right there, to watch them not go out and get a starter at the trade deadline.
Yes.
And then the next 2 games they have, they just get absolutely shelled.
And not only that, because they didn't get any other good depth on Monday's game, their starter didn't go that deep. So they had to use all their good relievers, and the Cubs, made them work. So because of that, on Tuesday, Ben Lively, no relation to Blake, I looked it up. I was wondering. That dude just had to eat it. 13 earned runs because, and you know what he got, Zoe? He's like, hey man, you're going to the IL. Your pec hurts.
Oh, he got one of those.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, your back hurts. No, it doesn't. Your back hurts.
Your neck hurts.
He's like, yeah, you got a sore pec, buddy. You threw a lot last night. Your chest hurts.
Hey, Jens, I gotta dip out now. I gotta get going, but I'm gonna end on the optimism. But go Cubs, go! All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week.
Yep.
So the next White Sox trade, this dog is cracking me up right now. The next White Sox trade, after kind of the smoke cleared, everybody knew Lucas was going. Again, Raylo was a little questionable, but then on the 28th, the White Sox traded away the big homie, Lance Lynn, and then Joe Kelly is 1,000% that guy that you love him on your team, but you just hate when you're playing against them, to the Dodgers. And they picked up Nick Nastrini, Jordan Leisure, and he's coming home, baby, Trace Thompson.
Has Trace Thompson even been assigned to any team, or is he hurt?
He's hurt. Actually, I was just seeing that they can reinstate him tomorrow, actually.
Okay.
So the big get here is Nick Nastrini. He's a right-handed pitcher in AA, 23 years old, 6'3". This was the one where people were like, oh, okay. I can't believe the Dodgers kind of gave this guy up. Mm-hmm. He throws gas. The White Sox have a very long history of, you throw hard, we'll find a spot for you. But he topped out at like 94 in college, but in the minor leagues, he's sitting between 96 and 98. He's got a good slider with a high spin rate. And he also has a curveball and a changeup, but his ETA up in the show is 2024. So this is a guy that you can see for the White Sox. Fangraphs has him as White Sox now 5th best prospect, and so does MLB.com. So he's definitely sitting right in there. That's the crown jewel of this deal. And that was another thing that was kind of bothering me when this was happening. Everybody was focusing on like, this Jordan Leisure kid isn't even that great. Well, he's a throw-in, bro. Like the main guy here is Nick Nastrini. And look at what you gave up to get that guy. You have Lance Lynn, which again, I'm saying this with all due respect because I love Lance Lynn. He has fucking sucked this year. He has been terrible. So the fact that they even got a top 10 prospect from a Dodgers system that's absolutely loaded.
That's the other part.
is
you
crazy.
didn't just get like the number 9, I think he was number 9, right?
Yep.
You didn't just get the number 9 prospect from like the Braves. I think the Braves. Shout out to the Braves.
Kansas City.
Yeah, like Kansas City, like it's just a bottom tier farm system. No, like the Dodgers are like, top 10, top 5 in some list farm system. And we talked about it a little bit last week. There's a difference between getting when you're dealing with teams who have actual good minor league systems. It's like, yes, you want to trade for with those teams.
Yes, 1,000,000% yes. I mean, Leisure doesn't even pop on.
He's
number 20. He's number 27 on the White Sox.
I mean, like you said, these trades, especially when we're talking about rentals, and I mean both of these trades with the Los Angeles teams, it was 2 for 1, or is basically give me 2 MLB pieces, and we'll give you 1 decent prospect, and then like a throw-in.
Right, and that's
like,
what it is.
I don't know. Maybe he'll find something out later, but this guy probably has a higher chance of getting to the major leagues.
And like I just said, the White Sox love dudes that can throw hard. Jordan Leisure lives at 97 to 101 miles an hour.
By the way, we keep referring to the Fangraphs list here, and they really love Nastrini. They have him as your 5th best prospect.
Yep. So does MLB.com. I said they both got him at 5.
Oh, they both okay.
Yep. The thing that I've been trying to watch videos. We were gonna have our boy Ian on the show, but he's out on an amazing road trip with his kid. We might actually have him next week to really get into some of these prospects because he's watched all of these kids. But some of the video, and I encourage all you White Sox fans, if you're looking for something hopeful, something positive, go ahead and search Nastrini's name and catch some of his minor league clips. And again, it's minor league ball, but we also say the best pitching is in AA. You know what I mean? So
it's like pure stuff. It's guys.
You can't teach.
The most raw talent is you're going to find at AA.
You can't teach talent. You can teach, tips for control, tips to get a couple extra miles per hour on a ball, tips to get a little bit more extra movement. But like, there's guys that have it, and there's guys that don't.
How old is Nastrini? He's 20.
Shit, he is. I got him 23.
Okay, I do wonder. So at AA, and I remember we talked about it a little bit with at AA. I don't know if it was all the leagues at AA or if it was just the one I know that the Cubs are in. How they were using that pre-tacked ball in the first half, and that was giving pitchers like strikeout rates were going crazy because guys were. It was basically they're like, guys, stop using spider tack. All right, maybe we'll give you a ball that has something on it. So they were experimenting with the ball that's just enhanced grip is what they were saying. And I mean, pitchers were going, they're like, hell yes. Like they were getting extra spin, strikeout rates were through the roof. So I do wonder how aggressive the Sox will be this year. And I mean, I'm guessing by next year, he'll be at AAA.
AAA, and he might even be a spot start. Drew just sent me this. Yammer Candelario has scored multiple runs for multiple teams since anyone on the White Sox has last scored a run. So he did it for the Nationals, and now he's done it for the Cubs, and the White Sox still have not scored a run. But those are the 2 big things. Trace Thompson, whatever. We all know who Trace Thompson is. He had a pretty good World Baseball Classic, but the fact that people are like even considering that as a real transaction, like
I don't think Trace Thompson's going to play for the White Sox. No.
It was mostly like, we'll give you Nastrini, but you got to take Trace.
Yeah, it's like take whatever his salary. I mean, it's not much, but just take it, please.
Yeah, but
if Trace Thompson does play for the White Sox fans should be upset.
We're in trouble.
They should be just call up any other prospect at AAA. It doesn't even matter. There's no reason Trace Thompson should be playing for the White Sox.
I mean, the White Sox don't have a ranked outfielder all the way down to 17 with Kelly.
Call up that. Do you guys still have the guy you signed from the Tigers? That they just refused to call up the. What is his name?
Who are you talking? I don't know what you're talking about.
They signed. It was like a 26-year-old. They signed. It was. I forget. It doesn't matter. He wasn't that good, but he's like an older player who has MLB experience. And every time an outfielder kept going on the IL, people were like, "Are they going to call this guy up?" And they never did.
Oh, I can't.
I don't even know if he's still with the team now. But it doesn't matter.
No, but yeah, if Trace Thompson sees a game for the White Sox this year, as bad. But
by the way, Trace Thompson, a very good immaculate grid answer for Cubs and Sox player. If you want,
very much so.
Both a rebuild legend on both sides of town. He got some run at the end of 21, I think, with the Cubs.
So that was the big trade with the Dodgers. And then after that, the White Sox did make one more trade. Middleton to the Yankees. I don't even know why the Yankees were making trades.
Well, they didn't want to be that. That was their only trade, right?
Yeah, they got Middleton, and like they're the worst team in the AL East right now. The White Sox got some kid named Juan Carella, but
that's another one. It's just like, hey, lottery ticket. Maybe he'll have
hit,
one
maybe
half
he won't.
good season.
Yep, maybe he'll hit, maybe he won't. It's just we just want this run-of-the-mill middle reliever that's having a pretty decent season in Middleton.
Yeah.
And basically, I really think the Yankees were just like, we got to make a deal.
A deal, right? Because they had that tweet where, like, since July 1st or whatever, 29 teams have made a trade, except for the Yankees.
Yep. And then the sneaky little move they did that no one really paid attention to is they got a kid named Luis Patino from Tampa Bay for cash. I missed one. I missed the deal.
Ooh.
Yeah, we missed
Kendall Graveman.
Yeah, Kendall Graveman.
Oh, we got to talk about this. Is the most MLB ready guy,
right.
I think.
So Kendall Graveman goes down to Houston, and he already did the interview. He's like, I feel like I'm back home. All right, beat it, geek.
You hate him so.
I'm just not a fan of that guy at all. So Kendall Graveman, and then I could see you on the other screen. They send him back, and they get a kid that I already knew, which is very rare that I've known this prospect or whatever. But his name is Corey Lee. He's a catcher. He's in AAA. He's 25 years old, 6'2", 210. Couple things about Corey Lee, which is really, really interesting. So Corey Lee is an absolute fucking cannon for an arm. Like, he actually credits it. He played collegiate water polo at University of California, which is no small task at all. It's a very prestigious school for that. But he didn't become. I think I mixed him up with the other catcher, because Lee's the one that didn't become he didn't become a full-time catcher till 2019. And he's yet to start. He hasn't had 73 games behind the plate. But some of the things, though, that people don't realize with him is, and we all know the White Sox love to do this, he is former roommates with Andrew Vaughn. And he actually batted right behind him in Cal's lineup. Vaughn was psyched. They asked Vaughn right away about, what do you think? And he's like, oh, man, he could hit. Like, that's my guy, blah, 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 blah. I mean, what's he going to say at that point? Like, that guy sucks. Like, but
it would have been hilarious.
Right. Corey Lee, to me, is like the ultimate roll the dice for the White Sox, because they really have nothing to lose. I mean, look at their catching squad right now. And I'm only saying this because Mitch isn't here, but, Sebi, we all love Sebi, but I think we pretty much all know what Sebi is at this point. Yaz is he's not even on the back nine. He's on the 18th hole of that career. I mean, they got Carlos Perez.
He's already on the cart path, getting a bush light.
He's already phoned in his order to the house. Like, he's going to get something to eat. But they got the Carlos Perez. A lot of people are high on him. And then basically, you roll the dice on a Corey Lee. If it doesn't hit, you got this Edgar kid coming up through the ranks right behind him. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if in a year or two, the two catchers on the White Sox are Corey Lee and Edgar. It could very much be that. But the biggest thing for me with this kid is you can teach, kind of like pitching, you can teach this kid how to block the ball behind the plate better. You can teach this kid how to frame better. You can't teach having an awesome. Did Sebi really just hit a home run? That's hilarious.
That is, especially right after you said.
Yeah, he definitely did. Sebi just definitely hit a solo home run. It's 11-1. Oh, that's beautiful. I love the pinwheels bump. It's definitely a real thing
out there, folks. We talk positive about a player, slump. Talk shit, he's gonna go on fire.
Yep. But so the other thing, though, where Corey Lee's very different than Edgar is Corey Lee likes to swing that damn thing. He's not taking walks. He's up there hacking. Not the greatest major league numbers in the couple games he's played for Houston up there.
8.5 home run.
He's not going to be a 300 hitter is the problem. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
the thing with Corey Lee, I mean, again, he has that pedigree of a former, at least I think on MLB, he used to be MLB Pipeline. He was a top 100. Fangraphs still loves him. They have him 75 in their top 100 currently. So like they still think he's gonna be some future value here.
I know this really doesn't hold its weight, but maybe getting him back with his boy Andrew, they can work some stuff out together. Whatever.
Together.
At this point, it doesn't hurt because, like we said, Sevi, we all love Sevi. Sevi Zavala forever. But Yaz is done. You got Carlos Perez, but you need a backup catcher. Now I wasn't mad about that deal. And the fact that they got him just for Graveman was kind of impressive, which also kind of makes me a little bit nervous that the Astros were probably like, yeah, take him.
I mean, yeah, that's obviously the other side where they were like, yeah, we don't.
So
this was that was basically them being like,
yep.
Well, at least from the White Sox perspective, we always talk about teams around the league looking for like bounce back guys who, after they were drafted, maybe their first year in the minor leagues, they were viewed as legit, like top 100 prospects. Yes, like this guy has some juice in him as a young player. And then maybe they fall in the rankings, they lose some of that buzz, they struggle, but they still have that pedigree. You're obviously hoping that talent that was scouted, that was propped up, resurfaces. And as you said, they got their main guy that they think is going to be their future catcher. There's just a little backup option maybe if things go a little sideways with
and
Edgar
he had a little.
Quero.
Yep, and Corey had a little bit of an oblique injury. He actually told Scott Merkin that he feels 100% for the first time in a while. He's ready to, get at it in Charlotte and show this team what he brings. He's looking at this as like a new start, But the problem right now, Fangraphs, who does love him, they got him 75 in the top 100. They got him as the White Sox, third best prospect, fourth best prospect.
Fourth.
But if you dig a little bit deeper into his Fangraphs page, they say Lee has a 70 arm and plus power, but he's likely overall a 30 grade hitter.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
the other part of that though is I think he's already 25. I keep saying it.
He's getting there. He's getting at do or die time.
Yes. What I was going to say is this is his second consecutive year at AAA. And we talked about a little before we started to record. Grandal's gone. Doesn't matter. DFA him. The money's wasted anyway.
I DFA
Seb.
right tomorrow morning. I wake up. I DFA Seb and Yaz and just go
like
with
you gotta. I think you do Lee. Like, all right, hey man. There's no pressure. Look at MLB pitching for a couple months. Don't just get it as getting data.
Thing.
What is he against MLB pitching? Go into the offseason with a plan. This is what you did well. This is what you did poor in. This is what you want you to work in. Coming back to spring training ready, you're going to compete for a job. Like, have that mindset with these guys. Well, especially a guy who's already this close to, being at MLB level.
At this point, you absolutely have nothing to lose. So,
and the same thing, and Sox fans, if you haven't, go check out the Aju with Beefloaf. And this past week he had Jordan Lazowski on, and they were talking about second base. And I agree with I think Jordan said it. Just play Lenyn Sosa, like you
get Ramos,
Zach Remillard. Hey, he's a great bunter. He's like what 30? Like he's not your future.
No, he's not at all.
Does not matter. That just reminded me of like Frank Schwindel, like cool. He's a fine dude, but he's not part of the future.
At this part, give Ramos a shot. Give Jose Rodriguez a shot. Give Sosa a shot. I don't give a shit.
Even Carlos, like you said, Carlos Perez, bring him back up.
Yeah,
have him and this dude play.
Because one of the most annoying things out of all this was Rick Hahn with a straight face saying they're planning to compete in 2024. What?
Get into it, Zoe. I've been waiting to hear your thoughts on it.
I just don't. I understand, like, well, we said at the beginning of this season, like, there's no way everyone could be that bad again. Well, shame on us, because, well, except for Luis Robert.
Luis Robert, dude, that's the thing. You have an MVP level player.
Yep.
And you're still in this shitty situation.
Luis Robert is a guy you build a team around, you know, and so that's where I get a little upset, if you will, and I have a definitely different opinion than our young co-host that did his show earlier today about, like you said, for the Cubs' biggest move was not trading one of their best players. For me, one of the White Sox biggest fuck-ups is not trading Dylan Cease. And there's a couple reasons why. And again, separate personal feelings from business side of things. Big fan of Dylan Cease. You know, love watching him grow and mature. And he kind of took a step back this year, but he's not really putting up ace numbers, but he's still a solid-ass major league starter. I think they really messed up by not trading him. From everything that I read, they were asking for the moon from teams like Baltimore. They were talking about fucking Holiday. Like, come on, man. You know, like, and all these other, but don't take what he did today into whatever. I mean, I know he's huge stinker today, but
yeah,
you can't, you have to look at this logically. Like his trade value was never going to be higher than it was 2 days ago. It just wasn't, because even if he pitches lights out for the rest of the season, you know, you miss the rental angle with him, and you have to sit here and pray he doesn't get hurt. Which, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you watch the White Sox, everybody gets hurt at some point. So now, as a White Sox fan, you have to sit here and watch this guy and just pray that every time he lands on his leg, he doesn't get hurt. Otherwise, you just completely blew that. You blew your biggest trade chip. And it's really scary to me. I know he has 2 more years of control. It's just, I just think you trade him at that point. And I know Han came out and said, you know, or we're competing next year. No, you're not, dude. You're not. You really aren't.
And this is how you know, because I know that you would still get a pretty decent return if you do. You're going to get a decent return. It's probably not going to be as much as it could have been at this trade deadline, because the big part of that is that whatever team was going to trade for him is that they wanted him for this
a postseason run,
like this postseason.
Yeah.
You're losing a postseason run with that pitcher.
Yep.
So obviously that dings your value.
And there's other things to take in because then you saw like Scherzer, Verlander, Jack Flaherty, like all these pitchers start flying off the market. And with like 2 hours left in the trade deadline, Dylan Cease is head and shoulders the best available pitcher. So now his stock's through the roof. And also, and again, I'm not basing this on just what happened today, because again, he got shelled in Texas. But what happens if he fucking sucks the rest of the year? I mean,
Tough.
there's
you're going to keep him to compete.
There's too much variance that can happen to fuck this up for me to feel comfortable for them not making the deal at the trade deadline.
The most annoying part, at least from not a Sox fan perspective, in hearing Rick Hahn say, looking to compete in 2024 is, okay, fine. Yes, there is a path there. But you know how you close the gap from shit team to contend?
Mm-hmm.
You spend money in free agency. What do the White Sox never do?
Spend money in free agency.
They never spent. They'll give you the couple deals. They'll spend $75 million on Benintendi.
Mm-hmm.
They'll spend $73 million on Yasmani Grandal. They'll spend $55 million on Dallas Keuchel. What do all those guys have in common? They're kind
of Benintendi's the best out of that group.
And like even Benintendi's like, all right, mid-tier free agent.
Now,
mid-tier free agents aren't going to get you from.
Correct.
Like the White Sox right now are in 4th place behind the Detroit Tigers, who were shit to enter the year.
The most frustrating part of this season is all they had to be was a 500 team, and they could be winning the division right now.
They just had to go out there and address.
I'm getting angry.
Address either second base or right field, and then at least get some starting pitching depth. It didn't have to be stars.
Yep. I mean,
and then also don't spend,
$190 million in the dumbest way possible. But
don't use like a big chunk of that on 4 relievers, and then hey.
So hopefully they learn, which they probably haven't, but hopefully you hope that they've learned that. One, you need to have homegrown talent in your bullpen. You don't go out and spend the big money on these guys. Sevy was the only run. The game's over 11-1.
The Sox always do that, dude. Yep. We talked about it back when the Cubs had David Robertson. Remember, that was one of their big free agent deals. David Robertson. Yep. Let's get a closer, but like our roster isn't really that good.
Speaking of closers, poor Liam. Beats
that was so
cancer,
sad, man.
Comes back, I think, too quick still.
Yes.
And now we got Tommy John, and he's out for another 12 months.
You know what, though? I know it obviously sucks because, he's going to lose. He's obviously losing the rest of 2023. He's all of 2024. Dude is still getting $15 million more, no matter what.
Yep.
He's either getting it. Well, I think at this point, he's getting the way the White Sox did the contract was 3 years, $54 million.
Mm-hmm.
You get $39 million your first 3 years, and then we'll have a 4th year, $15 million option. But if we decline it, we'll pay you $1.5 million for the next 9 years, or the next 10 years.
You should go watch Mitch. Go watch Mitch on the news. He's on the news in Missouri.
Turn on what's the station? Damn, what are the letters?
WKQX. I don't know, but that's the thing, and I agree with you. It's just like the hits keep coming. This team has a perpetual black cloud over it. And so one of Mitch's points he made earlier was all these people are saying they want Rick Hahn fired, but they also wanted him to like be in control of all this. So Rick Hahn is very good at one thing that we've learned. He's good at selling off expiring contracts of good players or decent or good players and getting a pretty darn good return for them, which he did again now because he did it with Chris Sale. He did it, all this. I'm good at firing him tomorrow. Like, thanks for doing that, boss. You got us on the right foot. Smell you later. They won't do it in season. We all know they won't do it in season, but
I was thinking back to, and this was pretty weird because I think it was announced before the draft in 2011. For the Cubs, it was known Jim Hendry, he was going to be gone after the year, right before they hired Theo. He was still like the GM. He was still in charge of the draft when the Cubs drafted Baez, and everybody was like, "What? This guy's you fired him, basically. Why is he still doing the draft?" It does happen. It does happen in the past. Other GMs get fired after the trade deadlines in the offseason. So it shouldn't be a shock if October 1st, Bob Nightingale tweets out, the White Sox have fired Rick Hahn.
Yeah. And at this point.
What did you think of his comments that were like, what was that one quote? I can't figure out if it was a typo, but it was weird. Josh Nelson quote tweeted, and it was like, in terms of talking about the direction for 2024, it was something like,
he had a little hissy fit. Because someone asked him, like, hey.
Oh, I think it was Scott Merkin asked.
Yeah, like, what do you tell your fans? Like, what the fans want to know, like, where this team is going. How do you basically sell this to your fan base? And he's just like, oh, that's marketing slogan shit. Like, I'm not concentrated on that right now. I'm concentrating on making this team the best team possible.
You're the fucking slogan guy, dude.
I'm not doing this. I'm blah, 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 blah. And he sounded like a guy that was annoyed with the question and also a guy that sounded scared, like he's going to get fired, which, whatever. But the comment that, and I got to find it, that really kind of put me over the edge. And hold on.
Oh, yes. I remember this one.
Somebody asked him
You're
about.
so spot on, so.
Someone asked him about improving the team, and I can't find it right away.
Here, paraphrase it. I'll find it for you.
Okay, so here I found it. So Han added that the fact that no team in the AL Central is running away and hiding adds the thought of being able to contend in the division in 24. So what I paraphrase that as is everyone sucks, so it's okay that we suck. Well, you know what, Rick? Everyone sucked this year, and you were one of the biggest.
The biggest suckers.
You sucked more than almost everybody, except for the Kansas City Royals, who are the worst team in the goddamn league. I can't believe Kansas City doesn't even have 20 wins yet. I didn't realize they were that bad. But
wait, what?
Yeah, they got like 18 wins, dude.
No.
Yes. I'm pretty sure I'm on there.
Let's see.
I know they just swept somebody, but yeah.
They still don't. They're at 33 and 75.
Okay, but
they are still better. 3 games better than the A's. 30 and 78.
Which I'm pretty sure the A's just like pick up dudes at like car dealerships and Home Depot parking lots to play for them. But
speaking of Lance Lynn, he gave up 3 home runs to them.
So far, the guys the White Sox have dealt besides Raylo have all been shit. I don't think Jake Berger did shit tonight in his debut in Miami, but
did we talk about that trade yet?
No, we haven't gotten there yet. But for him to say that to a room full of reporters, I think he's losing it, man. Han's on tilt right now because he usually doesn't let crap like that slip. He's usually very, 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 very calculated on everything he says to the media. It's all lawyer speak. You know, we've all used the term Han speak before, but for him to say the fact that this division stinks means we can contend next year, because all you had to do this year. Josh Nelson was the first person I heard say this, and when he said it, like a wave of depression came over my body. All the White Sox had to do this year was to be a 500 team. A 500 team. And they could be winning the AL Central.
Yep.
Absolutely brutal.
Oh, I just saw this, by the way. And this goes to the other thing where what the hell are the White Sox thinking? And I get it. Most of the trades, except for Berger, was you were trading rental arms. Fine, whatever. Who cares? Mm-hmm. Good. Those were. I agree with your thought process. Good. You got a good return at least. Mm-hmm. At least whatever people were saying. Fine. What the hell was that report that the White Sox were trying to trade for Salvador Perez?
That was also super annoying.
Because
that's not a team that's contending in 2024.
Because forget about this trade. The trade line passed, so hey, you don't have to worry about it. They're still in offseason. They could still trade for him in the offseason.
And the fact was, paraphrasing, that they're interested in Salvador Perez because of his relationship with Pedro. Why Pedro might not be here next year.
Pedro shouldn't be there.
I mean, Pedro's losing his shit too. Pedro, I think Pedro's a great coach and a shitty manager. That's where I put him at right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He's doing interviews being like, yeah, what the fuck? At this point, let's just let it ride. But yeah, that's the other deal that we haven't talked about. It's actually kind of important because the White Sox traded beloved Jake Berger for a kid named Jake Eder. Eder is a 24-year-old left-handed pitcher. He's in Double-A right now, 6'4", 215 pounds, but I like this kid. I like this kid a lot. The report that I saw on him, I'm trying to remember the exact words, was he had first-round stuff when he was at Vanderbilt. And he actually got a 3-inning save when they won the 2019 College World Series. He did a 3-inning save to win the College World Series. Really good stuff. 60 grade fastball, 60 grade slider, 50 grade changeup, 50 control. Overall, they got him at a 50 grade right now. But he had TJ. So he's just now working his way back from the TJ.
Can I read you what got White Sox fans really excited? This was the screenshot that was going around.
Yeah.
After the trade, it was a screenshot of his Fangraphs profile, and below his grades,
The Chicago City Royals. That's funny.
below the grades, they just have like a quick little prospect. Too long didn't read, and it's just a 1-sentence description of the prospect. And Fangraphs writes, nearly back from Tommy John, Eder might be lefty Spencer Strider.
That's the one. Yes, I did see that.
Damn great.
I did see that.
That's what got Sox fans hyped up.
For those of you wondering, yes, that did make it move, because the White Sox have not had a dominant left-handed pitcher basically since Chris Sale. And that's a kid that I think you can do. Now, I did a rapid reaction video on Twitter after the Burger trade, because I knew that was the one that people would take the hardest. Like, everyone knew Giolito was getting dealt. Raylo was a little surprised. Everybody could see Lance Lynn being dealt, Joe Kelly, Middleton, whatever. Those are all okay. Burger was, like I've mentioned on this show a bunch of times, it's a Disney movie. Getting drafted, blowing out one wheel, and then blowing out the other wheel while he's trying to heal from the first one. Playing in independent leagues just so he can keep playing during COVID and shit, to making his way up and to be, what was he, second in AL in home runs when they traded him?
Yeah. Behind the best player in the world ever.
Yeah, best player in the history of baseball. But great guy, very humble. His wife, sisters, they were all very active on Twitter, interacting with fans. I've heard nothing but great things about all of them. Like, super nice, and the great story about, Burger's newborn being in the crowd every time he hits the home run, and she tweets out like she got to see daddy's homer and everything. You felt for the guy. You rooted for the guy. Such an easy guy to root for. And I'm encouraging everyone that's listening to this, keep rooting for him in Miami. Like, you don't have to stop just because the uniforms change. But from a business standpoint, I get this move. 100%. A couple reasons. One, Jake never really had a position. He never really had a set position. The White Sox have too many DHs on the team as it stands right now. And I know some people are like, we'll play him at third over Moncada. No one is taking Moncada's money, and they're not going to eat that salary. Moncada, whether he likes it or not, is playing for the White Sox until that contract's out. He was a man without a country on that field. And the best thing you can do with a lot of things in life is you sell high and you buy low.
Yeah.
They sold high on Jake Burger because, again, he had 2 blown tires. He reminded me a lot of another beloved slugger from the White Sox who was kind of a flash in the pan in David Polka. You know what I mean? Like, I think Burger's better than him. Don't get me wrong. Don't, get that twisted. But, yeah, I mean, he's a definite candidate for regression. And so I understand them selling high. That's the way I want to say that.
I know there's arguments both ways on Burger. It's like, well, because of the injuries, he hasn't spent a lot of time. He lost a lot of years development wise. Yep. He hasn't played that much in the majors. So, hey, maybe he can get better. But right now where the Sox are at, I do agree where you do sell high because, again, It goes back to the bullshit of it's the bullshit that's annoying. It's like, well, maybe we can compete in 2024. The Sox are going to be bad.
Yes.
Because why? The main reason, again, you're not going to spend in free agency until the Sox do, until they prove to their fans that they do. I'm not going to believe your bull crap. Like,
plot twist, they sign Ohtani, but
if we get the dude, so imagine they host him and we get like the leaks of the photos,
like a Bryce Harper, like it says in the ticker. They hire Ohtani's translator and like all this team. They get we need
to figure out if he has any best friends, and then they signed him.
Yeah. Signed his best friend from the Japanese league over here.
Yes,
get him over here, all that stuff. But yeah,
I understand. You take advantage, and he's people were like, hey, you're rebuilding, but you trade the one guy who's under team control until 2028.
Yep.
But like, he's a very flawed player. And yes, maybe he does get better, but there were signs in July that he was taking a little more walks. But I'm talking about a guy who's just swinging for the fences, and God bless him, he has elite power. And you mentioned Daniel Palka. It reminds me of Patrick Wisdom.
Yeah, I mean,
where he's going to hit home runs, but man, he's going to hit like 190, maybe 210. He's not going to walk. His on base is going to be terrible. Mm-hmm. Are you comfortable with the 30 plus home runs, but the 290 on base? The White Sox have to fill other needs. They're pitching, and it's due to their own fault. After these, after their, window of trying to win, they didn't really bring up any other pitching. There's no other guys, and we've seen it this year. They have no pitching depth. They needed to reload. None. You go out there and you get a talent like they have in Jake.
No, you sell high on Jake Burger. He's a prime candidate for regression. I hope it never happens, but he is. And he goes to a Miami team that just traded their third baseman for the last 6 years, and Cooper. They traded him to the Padres, so Jake's got the starting gig now. Good for him. And his fucking debut in Miami was today. What does the Marlins do? $5 burgers for Jake Burger.
Oh, nice.
Something the White Sox never did.
Speaking of aggressive, the Marlins were kind of Jake Burger. They traded Cooper. They got Josh Bell.
That was a great
Cleveland.
move for them.
Yeah.
Their offense was. They got the pitching. Their offense has been what's killing them.
That's why
they went out and gotten some bats.
And the bigger rumor leading up to the trade deadline was like, obviously they ended up with Jake Burger, and obviously they were talking with the White Sox, but they wanted Eloy.
Yeah.
They wanted Eloy. And obviously the Brewers were like, nah.
Nah, son.
Chill.
The Brewers want him too, but I couldn't even think of one person on the Brewers I'd want to trade for.
Dude, if Eloy went to the Brewers, I would have been so pissed off at the White Sox.
Yeah, that would have been.
All these fucking teams just give their good players to NL Central teams, not the good teams.
But again, tough pill to swallow. And I will, as I tweeted out, I will always root for Jake Burger. Like, I'm going to follow along. I'm going to, you know what I mean? But he's almost kind of gotten himself in a better situation now. Miami's got a team where they can actually compete a little bit. He's going to get the everyday starter at third base. You don't have to worry about plugging him at second base or DHing or whatever. And it's kind of like the whole, if you love something, set it free kind of deal. And I really like what they got in return for him. This kid.
I'm sorry to interrupt here. No. I don't care that I think it's the same position player that pitched for the Reds last night. But Seiya Suzuki, home run, a little confidence boost.
You should text Fizz right now. Say I'm back because he just hit a home run off a position player.
By the way, back-to-back days where you have to use a position player against the team who's on fire on your ass. Bad luck.
Right after a trade deadline where you made no moves for a glaring need at starting pitching, which is another thing that was wild. I mean, I know it kind of hurt the Reds that Jonathan India went on the IL right before the trade deadline, because I think that was their plan, was they were going to get him out there in a trade and go get themselves a decent start. I wouldn't have hated Jonathan India on the White Sox, and I know some of the ladies out there, he is a handsome fella. But
Jonathan India, and I mean, since those trade rumors came out, I mean, the Reds still played pretty well. They won a series in Los Angeles against the Dodgers, which that was pretty damn impressive. But that, I feel like that caused a little bit of like a little, not rift, but like a little, what the hell's going on in the clubhouse maybe for the Reds. Yep. It's like, wait, why are you? Yep. Because again, you can argue about Jonathan India. Is he that good? What is he worth? The guys in that locker room view the guy as hey, he was a rookie of the year. He's been a good hitter. All the numbers aren't pretty, but he has some pop. Yep. The defense maybe isn't as good as you want it, but he's, he plays there almost every game. They view him as one of the young leaders. And those trade talks that randomly got out there out of nowhere, or maybe I hope. Well, as a Cubs fan, selfishly speaking, I hope that did create a little hubbub in that clubhouse.
Yep. So I mean, it was a busy deadline for both teams. Obviously, two teams clearly going in two different directions at this point right now. I'm very, very curious to see how this offseason plays out for the White Sox, because they did free up a lot of money, and they're going to free up some more money. But what on earth gives me any reason to think that they would go out? I don't even know. I haven't even looked at the upcoming free agents, but it's not great. It's not great.
I can tell you. Starting pitching, because I've been looking for the Cubs. Starting pitching market is great. Okay. A lot of options starting pitching wise. So hey, what do the Sox need? They need starting pitching, so that's good.
Starters, yep.
So you can get a bargain or two. Again, I don't think you guys are going to be going for the very top of the market, but
Ohtani to the White Sox.
Start it now. Start the hashtag.
Yep.
Ohtani to White Sox. I don't think there are a lot of good hitters. I mean, there's Matt Chapman, third base, but he plays third base.
Yeah.
There's
third or first. Got that covered.
Dude. That's why when Ian Happ signed his contract, I was a little surprised, because if he would have had a good season, he would have been like a top 5 hitter in free agency.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another thing. A lot of people were bitching that they didn't trade Tim Anderson. Now, I've been saying on this show for probably 2 months now that they weren't going to do it for a couple reasons. One, that'd be the opposite of trading Berger, because you'd be selling low. And two, he has a $14 million team option, not a player option, a team option next year. So that's a cheap shortstop. Now, the second half of his season right now, you're starting to see flashes of the Tim we all know and love. He finally hit that home run, so he got that monkey off his back. But even when he is getting out, he's hitting the ball hard. Fielding's going to be whatever with TA, but by not trading him now, you can have yourself a little Craig Kimbrell situation where you pick up that team option. He's under control for $14 million, and he's hands down one of the top non-pitching targets this offseason.
I looked up the free agents for next year. What position do you want to go to for second base or right field? Because I know those are obviously the two spots.
Second base.
Okay.
And give me guys that could possibly play second. Throw them in there as well.
Okay, so I'll do second and short. I'll do the infield.
Yeah. This
just goes to show you how weak.
This is going to be very bad.
How weak, because the first name that pops up, this is on the first two names on MLB Trade Rumors. They plan ahead. Very, very well done. They have the list of all the free agents for the upcoming offseason. Second baseman, the first. Actually, you know what? To be fair, this goes in alphabetical order, so it's not.
Okay.
This isn't war based.
Right.
Okay. Hanser Alberto. Bring him back. Number 2, Elvis Andrews.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, here we go. Your guy. You can finally get him. So get that veteran hitter at second, Adam Frazier.
No, I don't think Baltimore's letting him leave. He's having a pretty good year for Baltimore. And I've also was reading a bunch of stuff about how he's a big time, leader in the clubhouse with all the young guys they got going on over there and blah, 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 blah.
All right.
So got him when they could have had a chance.
Another veteran, another former White Sox, Josh Harrison.
Come on.
Next up, former Cubs legend. You know him because he kind of hits, not really. And with the Oakland A's, Tony Kemp.
So
next up, Cubs legend, World Series champion, Tommy La Stella.
I didn't realize how slow he is.
Tommy La Stella?
Tommy La Stella's slow as shit.
To be fair, I think he broke a leg, maybe.
Usually second baseman, you think the short, fast contact hitter dude.
I remember him. I mean, I think actually, this goes back to his Cubs days when he was playing third base. He was not that athletic.
No, piped down.
Other guys, Whit Merrifield has a mutual option.
They're not letting him leave. He's having he's an all-star. He's having an all-star season right now.
It is a little pricey though, $18 million.
That's another guy though that I was like, hey, the White Sox should take a run at Whit. Oh, he's old. He's washed. All-star.
Jorge Polanco, he has a club option, $10.5 million. Jonathan Shoop.
How old is he?
He's
I feel like he's been in the league.
Yeah, he's been in the league forever. He's 32.
He's a glitch on MLB The Show, just if anybody's wondering.
Donovan Solano, Twins legend, and then I think Yumper mentioned him a little early on in the chat. Colton Wong, good defense. Colton Wong.
I mean, it would be an upgrade, but
shortstops, it does not get better, folks.
No, that's why I'm glad they waited to trade Timmy, because if there's a team that needs a shortstop this offseason, that's a big trading chip.
Let me list off the names here. Nick Ahmed, Tim Anderson, as you said, club option, $14 million. Elvis Andrews, Javier Baez, but he's not going to opt out.
No, why would he ever?
Brandon Crawford, veteran presence. He's 37.
Zero chance he leaves San Francisco.
Do you want Paul DeJong, Cardinals legend? Now with
he
the
got
Blue
traded.
Jays.
Yeah, I was going to say. No.
Isaiah Kiner Falefa, defense.
Oh my God. I unfortunately have friends that are Yankees
boy,
fans.
I know exactly who you guys are going to sign.
No. Oh no.
28-year-old just got traded to the Dodgers. You know him from the Cleveland Guardians and New York Mets. Ahmed Rosario, come on down. You are a White Sox.
Oh my God. And then
you know it, Zoe. He plays good. Well, he used to play good defense. I don't know what happened to him this year.
Everybody that you mentioned is just cheeks.
Third base. Eddie Adrianza. All right. Brian Anderson, who's on the Brewers right now. Jamie Candelario, who can play for, well, he's more third base, first base. As I said, Matt Chapman, Charlie Culberson. I didn't realize he's still playing baseball. Josh Donaldson returned to the AL Central.
There's not many things that could happen that would make me renounce my fandom in the White Sox. If they signed Josh Donaldson, I would not watch one inning of baseball.
Well, what about this guy? I think he also plays second base, or he used to play second base. Eduardo Escobar.
I think he's one of those guys that have played everywhere.
He's 35 though, man. He is old. Again, these are third basemen only though. Evan Longoria, Mike Moustakas, Max Muncy, Justin Turner, Gio Urshela, Joey Wendell. Joey Wendell, another guy who plays second base, I think. Do you want to see right field?
I mean, I'm banking on Colas being out there next year, but go ahead. Just give me the best outfielder available.
Teoscar Hernandez.
Okay, that I can mess with that.
Let's see. I mean, you can try to revive Joey Gallo.
Randall
Grichuk is having a solid season with the Rockies. Just got traded to the Angels.
What kind of year is Gallo having? I feel like I haven't heard his name a lot. I think he got hurt a bunch of times too.
I think he's having the Joey Gallo season where he's not hitting for a high average, some home runs.
Strikeout machine.
Yeah.
Let's look up Joey here real quick.
Oh, Jason Hayward.
Come on now.
Dude, Jason Hayward would be your best. Have you seen his numbers this year? The Dodgers did fix
our best him. Our best right fielder?
Yeah. Low bar, I know.
Yeah.
Jason Hayward's been good this year. Shout out to him. I had no idea what the hell happened to him.
Joey Gallo. I just want to see what he's doing. Because you know me, he's batting. What's he batting? 333? No. Oh, that was his last game.
Oh, no, he's not.
No, he's definitely not. I hate how ESPN sets this up.
Can I read you a slash line?
Yeah, please.
Well, no, this isn't Joey Gallo's. I'm just reading a slash line.
Oh, a slash line.
A slash line and pending free agent. 245, 340 on base, 461 slug, 10 home runs, a 119 WRC plus, and so far 1.6 F4 in 81 games.
I mean,
Jason Hayward.
I know. Didn't he change his swing? Like something.
I think the Dodgers basically told him, "Stop. Just try to hit home runs."
Yeah.
I think they're like, "Hey, dude, your swing has been shitty for years.
Yep.
Forget about just making contact. Go out and sell out for power."
And for those of you wondering, Joey Gallo's batting 179 right now with 17 home runs.
Okay.
And his full slash is 179, 290, 443 slugging with a 733 OPS.
That's basically what Jacob Berger's been, right? Just like a
Give or
little
take.
better
but
average wise, but
yeah,
he's in that range.
So basically, what we're saying, long story short, it's slim pickings.
It's slim pickings. Well, Ohtani.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Ohtani 50 yards of shit.
Oh no!
The next year, of
I already know who you get. You guys are finally gonna get another DH.
Why would
Michael
we need another-
Brantley.
They've wanted Michael Brantley on the White Sox for like a
That's what I'm
decade.
telling you, dude.
I feel like they've wanted him on the White Sox since the 80s. It's been so long. They've wanted that guy every season. And I get it. I mean, guy's a contact machine.
No.
But
this guy can go out and play right field. Not very good. But if you want more veteran leadership, Trey Mancini is going to be available.
I'm good on that, man.
You can get him for league minimum, $700,000.
Well, that's a very White Sox move, but it's just, I don't know, dude.
No, but that goes to our point. I think it was good to keep TA because if you do plan on trading him, wait until teams get to the free agent market and they look around and they're like, holy shit, there's nothing here.
Yep. And you just got to hope out of all the prospects you just pulled and some of the in-house ones that somebody shows you something. But unfortunately, White Sox fans,
we know, right? Colson's next up.
Yeah. And you talk about getting beefy. Every highlight I see with that kid, he has definitely added muscle. And again, we're gonna try to get our boy Ian on next week to talk about a little bit more stuff going on down on the farm. But saddle up, strap it down, White Sox fans, because it's another long time of farm reports, watching shitty grainy video from double and triple A games, and that stupid gif of Squidward going future. Yes.
One last question about the offseason. So right now, do you think they trade Cease in the offseason?
It really depends on how his second half, how he finishes this year.
Okay.
Because if he keeps going out like he did tonight in Texas,
just keeps giving up 7 runs in 2 innings.
Yeah, and something that I think our listeners are too smart to do, but to put it to rest, I've already seen a couple people being like, Cease did this because he's angry. He's still here. Do you honestly think this man's going to sacrifice millions of dollars in potential next contract just to show the front office that he's angry? Fuck out.
Yeah.
Get out.
Because number one, if he is angry at the clubhouse or at the front office, guess what he would want to do? He'd want to raise his value as much as possible so that other teams
that hurts more.
Trade. Yeah.
No one's expecting the White Sox to win right now. No one's expecting the White Sox to win right now. So that's not like, oh no. But if he goes out there and starts throwing 10 strikeout games, he gets that ERA down under we'll call it 3.5. So his value goes way up.
And I know this may sound dumb, but we know how MLB teams operate. The most attractive thing about Dylan Cease, yes, he's been solid pitcher. He showed what his, the ceiling can be. He'd be like a Cy Young Award contender.
Yep.
What teams care most about him is that he's going to have 2 more years of cheap control.
Yep.
I mean, we saw it with the Jose Quintana trade with the Cubs and White Sox. Why did the Cubs overpay? Because they were going to have him for 2-3 more years at $12 million per year, which is very cheap for what they thought they were going to get in a number 2 type pitcher. That teams just care so much about getting as much talent for as little amount of money as possible.
Who do you think has a better finish of the season? Max Scherzer or Justin Verlander?
Oh man, I'd have to dive into some of those numbers, but just going Max Scherzer to me in the past couple seasons kind of under. I mean, I'm sure his numbers are still good, but I think Verlander's still kept that level.
Yep.
Where he's been elite, as where Max Scherzer, I do think he's taken a little step back from elite starting pitcher to still good, but not awesome.
I mean,
and then Verlander back with a team that he knows, Houston.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw what they did to his career. I'm sure they're going to find more ways to work around some rules.
He's going to be getting like some cattle something injections or something like that.
Like,
but yeah, I mean,
oh, speaking of though, what a great rivalry that's turned into Houston and Texas. And
that's
now
fun.
Actually both good. That the Rangers are good this year.
And also the fact that I absolutely still fucking hate the Houston Astros. I don't have it on. I've been rocking the Texas City Connect hat a lot lately. I wore my A's hat tonight, but yeah, it's wild. We got a guy, he DM'd me. He's like a big part of the sell the team in Oakland. But he grew up a White Sox fan, and he made a joke just saying like when Oakland comes to Chicago at the end of August and everyone's chanting sell the team, it's which team are they talking about? I mean, that's where the Sox are at right now. You know, they're eye to eye with Oakland almost. You know, I mean, obviously they have a better base, like having guys like Luis Robert and Eloy and these guys, but there's no clear direction.
Are you surprised? This isn't me bashing attendance. I'm just asking the context behind this. Last year, obviously, there was a few times that there was the fire Tony chants and the sell the team chants for the White Sox. Are you surprised that, after a second consecutive year of failing to put a winning club together, that there hasn't been more fire Han chants or something? Or is it just because less people are showing up?
It's less people are showing up.
That's why I bring up the attendance.
Less people are showing up, and also just people are taking that more to social media. I mean, the fire Tony chants, he's there. He's in that dugout. So by saying that, he's hearing you.
Yeah.
Han, for all we know, doesn't even watch the games. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I said this earlier. Well, Eastman, to a good friend of mine, a good friend of the show, everything. We were talking about this season, and I was thinking about it. This might be, no, I won't say might be. This is one of my top 3 most disappointing seasons as a White Sox fan.
Yeah.
Mainly just because the expectations were high, and I try, as someone that's been doing this for a long time, to temper those expectations, but out of the gate, the lineup was looking great. Obviously there was still some positions in need, but I thought Oscar Colas was going to come out of the gate hot. So right field would finally be taken care of. Elvis Andrews. Well, we said that on the show before the season even started. That was lightning in a bottle for the second half of last season. But I just thought it would be good. And I mean, again, I think this is the 4th time I've said it now. The show. All they had to be was 500.
That's what I was going to bring up. So it's not that just like, obviously the expectations are you're in your winning window. You have your core here. You're supposed to win. This was your time to compete for championships.
All they had to be was average.
Or what we say is just get into the playoffs and you get a chance. And all you had to do is just be a 500 team and you'd be in the mix.
All you had to do was be average. Couldn't even do that.
I did want to bring up I did find the quote that I was trying to think about.
Oh, okay.
Earlier, that caught White Sox fans' attention's eyes. Like, wait, does Han know that he's not coming back? And it comes from Vinny Duber. Han continued, "The organization is much, much stronger for 24 and beyond. What that looks like at the big league level in 24. Let's get to the end of the season. You will hear directly what the plan is for people in charge." So like that was the part where you will hear directly what the plan is for the people in charge. Was that a typo, or why is he talking in third person about you're in charge? Like,
right, you're one of those people in charge. You are in charge. I mean, I think he was talking like org wide, but I do think he slipped up, like you said, like that you're part of that group, dude.
Yeah, like you are people in charge, Han.
They won't do it in season. The White Sox never fire anyone in season. Long history of that. But
I can never. You know what the playbook is going to be? September, first week of September. Bob Nightingale column. White Sox floating the idea of making a change. Get it going.
Yeah, I don't even know.
See what the.
I don't even know who. Like, I'd want GMs. I don't know.
Well, it's gonna be. Isn't the name the farm director or Chris
no?
Getz?
If they give it to Chris Getz, I'm just giving up White Sox baseball. I'm quitting this show. I'm doing everything.
The perfect guy would have been Stearns, but apparently he's gonna get be the president for the Mets.
And I mean, I've always said,
throw it back at Theo. What Theo is just.
I wear my misses. I didn't think Bruce Bochy would have a successful last run as a manager. I didn't really want him managing the White Sox, and he's doing a great job down in Texas. I mean, they're battling through some injuries and everything, but he's keeping them on top of that AL West. So
what makes a good manager too?
Managing the goddamn bullpen and pitching.
Well, I was gonna say having good players.
That helps. That helps. My biggest thing against Pedro, man, he gives starting pitchers way too long of a leash. It's just, and I don't know. Like, I feel like he won't make the tough call. Like, for weeks, we said TA should be batting 7 just to figure it out, and he just wouldn't put him lower than 2. And I mean, I guess you could say it worked out, but it took way too long to.
That was his big, he's. Well, that's the thing. He kept saying no, no, and then it was literally the next day. It's like, oh, Tim Anderson's hitting 2 now.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
who called? Who made the phone call?
You did kind of move him, but you just kept saying that you weren't going to.
Yeah, I mean, that to me reeked of like Kenny or Rick or someone in the front office being like, TA's not batting leadoff anymore. Figure it out. And he's like, fine, I'll put him at 2.
And I always wonder with the, we every fan base, all 30 fans of the teams we complain about lineups almost every day.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter. The team's good, bad, average. You're going to complain a lot. I just wonder how much input is there from the GM or someone, or the analytics guy from the front office, whatever sect of the team dives deep into the numbers. What does that look like? I think about it with the Cubs, with some of the decisions that David Ross makes, with the White Sox for years now, even going back to Ricky Renteria, it seemed like every day there's a complaint. But I do wonder, because we do see other teams like Tampa Bay Rays, we know they're very analytical. They're working every single number, trying to get an advantage. What is that process with the Sox, with the Cubs, because some of these are head scratchers sometimes.
Right. And I mean, to all the people that are trying to, for some reason, still white knight for Tony, and maybe this wasn't Tony's fault, dude. Guy fell asleep in the dugout. He didn't pitch run for Hendricks in extra innings. There's a laundry list of things.
I know the White Sox won the division in 2021 with
not
Tony
because
La Russa.
of him. Not because of him.
Yes, every single time there is a big moment, it's where a manager's decision did matter. Tony got outmanaged every single time. That series against Houston, hey, let's get Lance Lynn in there game 1 because, hey, who cares that Houston keeps hitting home runs off this year? He only throws fastballs.
Yep.
Let's line up our defense in a not the correct way, and let's just keep giving up hits up the middle. The pitching changes. And hey, maybe I know last year we had this big back and forth with Kevin. It's like, well, Ethan Katz is the pitching coach. He should be the one on the phone getting guys warmed up. But it's like, hey, is Tony La Russa, wasn't he supposed to be the guy with 30 years experience? Can he not tell the pitching coach to do stuff?
So
Tony, the revisionist history of Tony La Russa is get out of here with that.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal. And I mean, I don't know. I think in some way they might have done me a favor. My expectations are this is bottom for me for the White Sox. I mean,
and the annoying part too about the unknown, because that's the thing,
that's all prospects are.
But it's not even the. Sorry, the general point of the Sox not even knowing their direction. Are they gonna rebuild?
And you couldn't even give a.
Are they gonna compete? It goes back to the first time back in 2015-16 what did the White Sox do? They just half-assed it. It's like, yeah, let's compete. Let's make some moves. But again, we're not going to spend the big free agent money, so we're not going to have that star player or like an additional star player to coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if they do try to compete, I'm just not going to be convinced. It's going to be the same problem again. It's going to be like, hey, I looked it up, dude. I forgot that it was in the same season. The last time the White Sox did a rebuild was when Rick Hahn declared it, was July 2016, when the team just kept scuffling. They were below 500. They couldn't get anything going. 1 month, like 5 weeks before that, they traded for James Shields. We all know who they gave. But like, forget about that. They did a move because they thought they were going to compete. So they trade a young talent to get a veteran starting pitcher for the rotation, and then 5 weeks later, they're like, you know what, we're gonna do a rebuild. Like, what? And now it's like kind of like the same. It's like, okay, we got all this, all our expiring contracts out of here. We're clearing money. We're looking to compete, but wait, you know what? Like, maybe we trade Cease. Maybe we trade everyone except for Luis Robert. You know, that tweet was out there. Like, so wait, what are you doing? Are you trying to compete? Are you going to rebuild? What do you?
They use the all-time terrible sports cliche of this isn't a rebuild, it's a retool.
I mean, it's what customers have been pissed off about with Jed Hoyer, who never wanted to say rebuild, but like, you know, we saw with the moves what they were doing.
Yep.
It's like, that's the thing. We're gonna know by the actions. Like, you don't have to say it, but the actions are gonna tell us what you're trying to do.
Oh, I'm not expecting much. So I don't know. Aldo, do you got anything before we go?
I mean, just excited about the Cubs playing great. Hopefully they get this series win with another win on Thursday against the Reds. I think they're going to be like 2.5 back in the wild card race. Maybe 3 games back here, maybe 2 if they do win on Thursday against the Reds. 2 games back in the Central. Just great vibes for the Cubs. Finally, love. Again, thank you, White Sox, for those games last week. But sorry at the same time for.
Can't wait to maybe feel something like that again in 4 years. But and we'd be remiss not to do this. Whoop.
I started drinking at 6 a.m. and we're here now. I don't know what time it is, but I'm rolling deep, and those cars are going real fast and real left, son. They're going fast and left. Fuck yeah!
That was NASCAR Minute.
By the way, do go check out Mitch's 20-minute pod. It was fantastic.
Yeah, no, he did a great job. It's very, very hard to do one of these solo. Just throwing that out there. And people say, oh, no, it is very hard to do something like this solo. So for Mitch, Fids, my guy Aldo, I'm Zoe. We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully we might have somebody on here to talk a little bit more in depth about the prospects. DMs are always open if there's something specific you want us to talk about. But other than that, we appreciate all the love and all the support. Hit the like and subscribe button, and then tell a couple friends to do it, and have them tell a couple friends to do it, and so on and so forth. Also, we wouldn't be objected to you putting on our playback that's on YouTube here, and then just leave it on in the background before you go to sleep at night.
Play it again the next day.
And then play it when you wake up, or play it right before you go to work, or whatever. Or go to the Apple Store and put it on every computer in the Apple Store and hide the icon just so it just plays. Yeah. So YouTube changed some parameters. So if we can get a lot of watch time on our belt, we can move up and do some other things for you guys. So again, we really appreciate it. Usually we had the usual suspects in the chat today, and yeah. So that's all. I'm Zoe. We'll see you guys next week.